One day my baby said to me, I said, it's water, honest. Okay, so in this section, I want to talk about language. So I'm thinking about 3 different languages when it comes to talking about what notes you're playing on the guitar. So the first language, which is maybe the most easy to understand, is, you know, if I give you the fret number and the string name. And this is about all of the, you know, music theory. Well, it's not even music theory, but that's all I knew about the notes on the fretboard when I started playing professionally. So I don't mean to say that you need this stuff, because many of my favourite guitar players don't have the foggiest idea of what notes they're playing some of the time. So maybe not the most important thing, but that's sort of the first language. Okay, and you know, if you're playing with another bass player and you say, look mate, I've got a riff, starts fret 7 on the E string, that is a language that a bass player and a guitar player will understand. But if you go to a keyboard player talking like that, that's, you know, it's not going to work. And that brings me to notes on the fretboard. So the notes. So when I joined the band that I play in Asia, which is, you know, predominantly a keyboard-based band, I'd have conversations with the keyboard player, and it became obvious to me quickly that I didn't speak the same language as him, you know, when he was talking about what notes were going on. I mean, it was something that I could figure out, but I wasn't very good at it. So that was one of the big catalysts for me figuring out some music theory stuff. So notes on the fretboard can be kind of confusing if you don't have any piano background. you know, if you look at a keyboard, everyone knows what a keyboard looks like. There's white keys and there's black keys, right? Now the black keys each have two names, which as a guitar player I found very confusing. So this note here, you know, that is F sharp, but it's also G flat, right? So this could be kind of a confusing thing to begin with, but I've got a few things that we can do to, you know, to get into that a little bit. Okay, so the first exercise that I really recommend people doing who want to get into this, well, first of all, the knowledge that E doesn't have a sharp, F doesn't have a flat, B doesn't have a sharp, and C doesn't have a flat. If you take those 4 rules, then you'll be fine with figuring stuff out. Hopefully we all know the names of the strings. Something I give to my students is Easter bunnies get drunk at Easter. Okay? So if you know that, you can figure out what the open strings are. And from there, if you know those 4 rules that I mentioned, then you can start figuring out what notes you're playing. So if this is E, this is F, because E doesn't have a sharp. This is F sharp, so, yeah, F sharp, yeah. G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, and E. So stuff like that can be so useful. You can be on the same page, language-wise, as any other instrument, okay? I've got a few little exercises that I like. Another one is doing chromatic octaves. So that's a big word there, chromatic, just means every note. So a good little exercise, both of these notes are E, both of these notes are F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F sharp, G, G sharp. It's also a real good finger twister there. Great little exercise. So that's just a chromatic scale, so I'm just going up and I'm using sort of a 1 finger per fret rule there. Okay, so another really good exercise that I try to encourage people to do is playing the same note on every string. So that's the funny thing about the guitar, of course. On a keyboard, one note, you know, say middle C, it lives in one place. But on the guitar, you've got this E, these are all the same E's. Somewhere up there. So you can play the same phrase in different spots as well. Exact same phrase in lots of different places. Yeah, so what was I saying there with the chromatic thing? Yeah, right. So playing the same note on every string. So if I take an A, and I play an A on the A string, on the D string, on the G string, on the B string, and on the E string, you know, that kind of stuff could be super useful. Yeah, and the third language. So just to recap those other 2, we had notes, you know, the actual notes, and we had the fret numbers and the string names. Okay. So the third language, which is my favourite, is the number system. How many people here have ever heard of the number system? Yeah, quite a few. A lot of people could be a little bit intimidated by the number system, but if you can count to 7 and you know a major scale, then you've got nothing to worry about. That's sort of the idea. If you play a major scale and you number those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. And the reason why that language is so good is because whatever key you change to, the number system will stay the same. So that's getting a little complicated there, but definitely 3 things to research if you haven't already. Well, two things for sure, you know, notes on the fretboard and the number system. The number system in particular, if you want to start gigging and playing stuff, is huge. So I don't want to go too much into it. I don't want to get, you know, too in-depth with all of that, but very useful stuff. Right, I'm going to jam a little more, and then I'm going to talk a little more. Here we go.